So, welcome back to another episode on Aisha's Academy. And today we're learning about Pythagoras Theorem. So, all to do with right angles. So, let's go. Okay, so Pythagoras Theorem is basically a theorem which is used to work out the missing length of a right angle triangle. So, if we draw a right angle triangle and the right angle, there we go. So, the line that's opposite the right angle has a name and it is called the hypotenuse. But don't focus too much if you can't remember that, but just be able to identify the actual line. So I've drawn that out there. And we always label this as the letter C. So when it comes to Pythagoras, we label it as C. And the other two lengths, they can either be A or B. So the reason why I've written A or B is because it doesn't matter which one is which, as say, compared to C, they can be any other line as long as they're not the line opposite the right angle. And this theorem has an equation. And the equation for Pythagoras theorem is A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. So I need you to literally do everything you can to remember this equation. It is very important. So if we look at an example of a question. So we have our right angle triangle here. I'm going to keep repeating the keywords here, which is right angle triangle and A, B, and C. So let's say you've got 16 centimeters, 8 centimeters, and we're trying to work out the missing length. And let's say, for instance, this triangle was labeled as P, Q, and R. And the reason why I did that is to make it more like exam-like type of questions. So if the question says, what is the length of QR? Give your answers to three significant figures. QR is literally the line from Q to R. And one thing to note with these types of questions is you will be using a calculator. But again, we're going to go for it. So the first thing I would do is label your triangle. Label them as the C first, and then A and B, it doesn't matter. Then after you've labeled it, write out the equation, which is your A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. Then, because in this case we're working out what A squared is, rearrange your equation to make it A squared is equal to, so that would be C squared minus B squared. So then A squared will be, if C is 16, it will be 16 squared. B is 8, so it will be 16 squared minus 8 squared, which if you use your calculator, that would be 256 minus 64, and that would give you 192. This is all using your calculator. And then the last bit is, because A squared is 192, to work out what A is, you need to square root that. So square root that, and that gives you a long answer. But because it's to three significant figures, your answer would be 13.9 centimeters. So if we look at another example, again, we have a right angle triangle. So one length is 3 centimeters, another length is 4 centimeters. Again, we're going to label it as A, B, and C, and we're working out a missing length. So if the question just says, what is the length AC? Again, the line AC. First step, label the triangle. So you've got your C, you've got your A, and you've got your B. Next step, write out the equation. Always write out the equation first before you rearrange it. It will make life 10 times easier, and just to see if your rearrangement is correct. Then substitute in the values, because in this case we're working out what C is. We don't need to change the equation. So it'll be 4 squared plus 3 squared, which is 16, plus 9 gives you an answer of 25. And then the last step is, because C squared is equal to 25, to work out what C is, square root. So notice the common pattern, square root of 25, which will give you an answer of 5 centimeters. And also remember your units. Remember units. Another example, example 3. So we have a right angle triangle. I've changed up the orientation just so you know that no matter the positioning, the format is still the same. So you've got all these different lengths, and let's say your question says, what is the missing length? Give your answer to one decimal place. So again, we're going to use your calculator. So anytime a question mentions significant figures or decimal places, no, majority of the time you're going to be using a calculator. So don't worry about doing this in your head. So we label first. Good. Label the triangle with A, B, and C. Write out the equation, because in this case, we're working out what B is. We are going to rearrange the equation to make it B squared is equal to. So always rearrange your equation to whatever you're working out. So it would be C squared minus A squared, which is 55 squared minus 35 squared. And that would give you an answer of 1,800. Then to work out what B is, the last step is square root. So just always go by that pattern. And so the answer would give you a long answer. So here we've got 42.42 and so on. But because it's to one decimal place, our answer would be 42.4 millimeters. And example 4. Again, I've changed up the orientation just to show you that the question is still the same. So we've got 26 centimeters and 15 centimeters, and we're going to work out the missing length. And I have labeled them as well, just so you get used to, that kind of exam format. So what is the missing length of FD? Give your answer to 3 significant figures. We label the triangle first. So label your triangle. Remember A and B, it doesn't matter where they are. Write out the equation. So again, because you're working out what C squared is, whenever you're working out what C is, you don't need to rearrange it. That's the easiest way to think about it. So we would do 26 squared plus 15 squared, and that gives you an answer of 901. And then to work out what C is, we would do the square root of that. So square root of 901, it would give you an answer of 30 point and so on, but it's because it's to 3 significant figures, it will be 30.0 centimeters. So I hope that made sense in terms of that. Please, if you enjoyed that video, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. I hope that cleared up a lot of things in terms of Pythagoras. And if you have any suggestions, comment below. Thanks for watching.